So just a quick recap on what we've covered so far. Functions are very similar to sub-procedures in syntax and in how they operate. We've seen that in Just Basic the syntax is slightly different in the fact that functions have to have parentheses, whereas sub-procedures don't. In most other languages, both sub-procedures and functions have to have parentheses. The reason we don't have to have parentheses identifying sub-procedures and where the name of the procedure ends and the parameters begin in Just Basic is because we actually make a call to a sub-procedure using the keyword call, whereas in other programming languages like Visual Basic and C and Java we don't actually use the keyword call, in which case functions and sub-procedures operate in a very similar way. The main difference in their operation is that functions actually return or bring back a value with them when they finish executing and return to the point at which they were called. So we can use the value that functions return in, for example, assignment statements or in more complicated equations, and we've seen that so far with a couple of examples, one that calculated a square of a number and another that calculated the area of a rectangle. The value that was returned from the function was assigned to a variable in an assignment statement. Functions can return other types of data. They can return a type of data called a Boolean value. We don't have these in Just Basic, but most of the languages do. And a Boolean value is true or false. So you can ask a function to do something and it can return with a true or false statement as to whether or not it carried out the required actions, for example. And functions can take 0 or many parameters. There's really no limit to the number of parameters that we can pass across to them. However, they can only return a single value. So if we have a function that returns a Boolean, true or false, then that's all that it can return. It can't return anything else. And if we have a function that returns a number, then it can't return anything else. It returns a number, a singular number. So functions have a limitation in terms of the amount of data that they can return or the number of different data items that they can return. And we will move on to part 3, where we will examine various ways in which we can get around these limitations.